What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Timeline Riff, episode number 2, the show where you get to watch me work out in live time. There we go. I gotta get this comment section up, and I want to start off by slapping that up there. Uh, I don't know when my man Mikey D, the armchair priest, was in here, and I don't know if he's back yet, but it seems like he took a little trip. Uh, and he's coming down off of acid somewhere. So wherever Mikey D is, I wish him Godspeed, all the luck in the world. I hope you come out of the other end of this trip all right. What's going on, guys? Brian Funkdakowski. Damn, dude. Fundakowski? That was hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was a little bit difficult. I'm gonna fuck that up at first. Funkdakowski. And Maya. That is a reasonable name. What's going on, guys? So before we start getting into all of the fun timeline stuff, if you actually, you know what? I'm new to this, right? Somebody just give me a thumbs up in the chat if you could actually hear me and I'm not just talking uh to the air. You guys just see my face moving around. Um it doesn't look like I have pants on, but I do have pants. You know what's funny is when I do the Ravens watch, typically I wear jeans because I feel more professional. But this show, I don't, it feels laid back. It's more laid back. And so I feel like I could wear shorts here. I used to do a show called DJVW, Dave and Jay versus the World. Great show, comedy show. And we had all of the best stuff, all the best equipment, the best. This backdrop is actually from DJVW. It's a little keepsake of mine, and it's disturbing me that I'm not seeing anybody in the chat say, "Dude, we can totally hear you." So you guys might just be seeing my fucking lips flapping and nothing happening. Um, but on DJVW, we had like this, this super high level of production where it was like, there we go, boom, Maya, thank you with the thumbs up. Uh, and so we had this super high level of production where everything had to be perfect. I had to get my outfits. I bought a t-shirt every week for this fucking show. Like every week I would have to go shopping as a grown man, as a 30-something-year-old father and husband. I would have to go and buy a new t-shirt every week. And then kind of correlate it with my sneakers. It was a whole thing. Now I don't even wear shoes. I hate to break it to you. I hope you guys don't lose respect for me. If you do lose respect for me, then you were wrong coming into this. I don't wear shoes when I do the podcast anymore, and I think it's nice. It's nice to take the edge off a little bit. So we're gonna get into the timeline. Before we get into the timeline, I'll tell you a little bit about my day. What did I do? I worked. We're in Florida here. We're prepping for a big hurricane that's coming, which is going to be a lot of fun. And it looks like it's touching down right where I am. So good thing I'm doing this live stream today. And because I might not have power tomorrow or the next day. It's supposed to hit tomorrow in the afternoon, and it's going to continue on to the day after that. And there's talk about whether or not it could be a category 3. I don't even know the name of the. I don't know the name of the. I feel like it's important to know the name of the hurricane. I think this one is. Is it Irene? No, it's not Irene. Here, I sent it to one of my buddies earlier. Let me go if I could see it real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Hurricane Idalia, Idalia. And there's also Hurricane Franklin, but apparently Hurricane Franklin's not going to do anything here. So we are on the eve of a hurricane touching down. I'm trying to get this live stream done. We're probably only going to go for about an hour. And like I said, this is you guys just watching me work out, see if I can carry a show, even though there's no guests. Because I do the Ravens watch and it's cool. I get to hear cool stories and talk to awesome people, but you don't know if I'm any good at all because all I have to do is like I wait for about like 20 minutes. You tell me something really interesting, and then I'll pick one or two things that I'm interested in, and I'll go, there's something I want to talk about. Can we go back to what you said before about the aliens and the abductions and what did the room look like that you were and then boom, they're off on another tangent and my work is done. So this is me working out. Let's hop into it. Timeline Riff, episode number 2. I've got to share this. You'll forgive me for my lack of that screen looks super small, right? I hope you guys can kind of see that in a reasonable amount. So there's something that I wanted to talk about. I've got a couple of things here that are relevant to it, and we're going to start with this post from Truth Poll. And the caption says, this lady who's in Maui right now, quote, "There are over 1,000 body bags." This is getting dark, like, immediately. I like how I was upbeat, like, this is gonna be, like, a positive kind of a show. Like, everything I do is conspiratorial and paranormal and occultic at its root, and so there might be some lighthearted stuff on here, but this is right up my alley. I need to know what the hell's going on in Maui. So there are over 100 body bags, mats, and containers, refrigerated trucks on the other side of the island now. Interesting. And I think this lady's beef is that there is, for some reason, a hold on supplies, but I don't know that that be is accurate. So let's. Okay, dude, I'm sorry. I think some of you might have saw me kind of chuckling. I didn't mean to chuckle. I wasn't laughing at this lady or the people on Maui. I was just laughing at the fact that I did not watch this video beforehand and that I just jumped into some of the darkest shit. Oh, the audio is no good. That's interesting. Were you just not hearing it, or did it sound shitty? As if you're not hearing it, that's a problem. If it sounds shitty, I could live with that. So basically, for if you guys didn't hear that, it was this woman saying that there are over 1,000 bodies in body bags in refrigerated units, I believe is what she said. And she starts to complain essentially that there was no alarm. They didn't sound an alarm, which is interesting because some of you might remember a couple of years ago there was a false alarm. Oh, Brian says he didn't hear anything at all while it was, doing that, so let's fucking avoid playing any videos until I can figure that out, so we don't wanna have that problem consistently. So she's complaining that they didn't sound the alarm in the video, and I've heard that from several sources, right? This idea that the emergency broadcast alert system did not play, during this event at all, and it's very interesting to me because I listened to an episode recently of Broken. No, I'm sorry. Conspiracy Social Club featuring Brian Callen, the stand-up comedian, and Sam Tripoli, the stand-up comedian, who is also a sort of a devout conspiracy theorist. And Brian Callen tried to say that there was some differentiations to be made between the type of alarm that you would need, which is what Maui is armed with, one geared towards tsunamis as opposed to a wildfire alarm. And I suppose there is some real significance there, right? Should a you go, well, it's just an alarm. Just sound the alarm so that people could. Well, if the alarm is sounded and it indicates that a tsunami's coming, you're going to do something dramatically different than what you're going to do. And I think he even said it. A tsunami is coming, and what are you told to do? Find high ground, head inland. But if there's a fire sweeping the island, you're going to want to head to the coast. So maybe there's some validity in that. I also know that the before the emergency was declared, they sent the children home. The schools closed, they sent the children home. And so now you have this combination of two things going on. There's no alert system, and there are houses filled with children. And so unfortunately, I'm sure that you guys can do sad math, and sad math dictates that a lot of lives were lost, a lot of children were lost. But the whole thing gets stranger and stranger. Like the guy at the end of the video, which you guys couldn't hear because I'm fucking unprofessional. I wonder if there's a what's that? What's that button do? Mute screen audio. No, it wasn't muted. I don't know why the hell it wasn't. But anyway, um, he was saying that they rerouted the water in Maui's plumbing system in all of the, the pipes, and they rerouted it to specifically fight the fires. And then when they set the system so that the water started going through the public pipes again. The water is now contaminated. It's poison. Okay. So they had a big fire. They lost a shit ton of lives. Their emergency broadcast system didn't go off. Um, their water is poison. And then another interesting thing, and I don't know if it's going to be on the timeline, but we can check it out real quick. Another interesting thing that I'm hearing over and over again is that, uh, well, shit, I lost my train of thought. I can't turn. Oh, Christ. Sorry, guys, if you're just watching this. We'll leave that up there. Another interesting thing that I've heard is that they are somehow blocking the receiving of supplies. So all the supplies and everything that have been donated to the people of Maui, they're not getting them. There's a lot of that going on, and for me, it's like I don't do a super deep dive on a lot of things. I collect a body of anecdotal evidence, so don't take my word on these things. I like to point out things that should make you go, hmm, and instead of just outright dismissing it like, "Oh, no, that wouldn't happen," like, maybe it should, pique your interest a little bit, and you might look into it. And another thing that is very strange. Oh, wait, here we go. Let's go to this one real quick. Boom. Here, let's pull this back. Let me know if you guys can hear this. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and not play that. For some reason, I can hear the audio, you guys can't hear the audio, but it seems like they are fencing off giant swaths of land that have been devastated by the fires, and the way that this guy describes it as is this, inability to see ground zero anymore, and I can't help but wonder, if you guys haven't picked up on it by now, I'm of the school of thought that this was a an operation at the bare minimum. It was them taking advantage of a crisis, which, that's kind of what the government you're never gonna let I think there's an expression, "Never let a good crisis go un something," and the idea is that basically when something really terrible goes wrong, even if you didn't orchestrate it, you can still use the emotional charge that's going to be given off because of this event, and you could use it as leverage against people to do all sorts of terrible things. And I think in this particular case, even if they didn't orchestrate the fires in Maui, what they certainly did, and by they I mean, you know, influential characters, you're talking the Oprahs of the world and things of that nature. I'm sure everybody's heard that by now. These people swooped in and they bought a bunch of land on the cheap. And, you know, you can speculate as to how the fires got started, but I think it's pretty much a given that they're not going to let this go unutilized. Um, when an entire island, or a landmass that is essentially paradise, right? We're talking Hawaii. Hawaii is everybody's idea of paradise. And all of a sudden the land's up for grabs. The people have been displaced, and maybe it's not, maybe it doesn't have to be as nefarious as I'm painting it. Maybe it's just cold-blooded, that they would swoop in, they would buy this land on the cheap, they would take advantage of people that are, at the lowest point of their lives. So, yeah, it doesn't have to be a big nefarious conspiracy theory or a plot, even though I'm much more inclined to lean in that direction, but I think that's just my nature. Um, I am willing to concede that at the minimum, maybe it is just cold-hearted bullshit. Maybe that they just took advantage of a crisis, they took advantage of people that are suffering, and they saw an opportunity to buy some of the greatest property on earth on the cheap. But then again, there are weird anomalies, where you kinda see things like this. Here's a guy that I enjoy. His name is Donut. He is a kind of a conspiracy theorist, paranormal podcaster, very much like myself, much more successful. He does a great job. And so I'm going to read his post here. All the blue that still remains in Hawaii and all of the symbolism of people in blue helping. Joe Biden showed his support wearing blue. The red and blue roofs that survived the fires. That's interesting. I didn't know there was red ones as well. That survived the fires. Oprah, there she is again, coincidentally has red and blue roofs. The Simpsons showed a beam of light destroying Springfield, and the blue remained in the center. Oh, that's interesting. I'd very much like to see that. The blue remained in the center. A lot of symbolism in blue. There's the red and blue lodges, and many gods are depicted as blue. That's true. I know that the Vedic gods are often depicted as having blue skin. I don't know. Maybe this is a little bit of a reach, though, huh? A lot of symbolism of blue. There's red and blue lodges. Many gods are depicted as blue. Something strange and symbolic happening in Hawaii. And if we go here, yeah, I mean, some of this stuff feels like a stretch to me, right? So we're looking at the blue helmets of the UN. We're looking at blue masks. Does that mean that my face isn't going to get beamed by Jewish space lasers? I don't know that that's in the middle of the Masonic G sort of symbol. There's blue. Biden wearing a blue shirt. I don't know that that feels like a stretch to me. It looks like the umbrella. So there's only about two images in this particular one that I think are compelling. One is this seemingly less destroyed blue car in the upper right corner of the image. But still, the front end is fucked. Um, but the car is much more intact, which is interesting because if you look at all the windows on the cars, they're all blown out, but the windows on the blue car aren't blown out. So that indicates that, you know, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, but it wasn't subjected to the same level of heat that these other vehicles were. And then if we go down here at the bottom center of the image, right beneath Biden in his beautiful blue shirt, we have a bunch of intact blue umbrellas. Um, I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's not. Let's go to the next slide. Oprah's blue and red roofs. The blue and red roofs survived. That is not very blue. I'm not gonna lie, Donut. I do appreciate your content. I think you do good work. These things they're not overtly blue. I would say that's more of a burnt orange on the bottom image at least. And yeah, so I'm not too sure an aerial view of Oprah Winfrey's Hawaiian estate. I'm not so sold on that image either. This is interesting. You always kind of have to worry or wonder about the Simpsons and whether or not they have access to Project Looking Glass or something, and they can see potential future timelines, or they are somehow privy to the things that the elites are going to implement before they implement them. But all that word salad was to say this town is smoldering after being attacked by space lasers, or at least that's what I'm picking up from this image. And in the center of town, there is something wrapped in blue. But who knows what the context of that was? I just know it's very popular to find an event and then link it to an episode of The Simpsons. And then we have blue and red lodges. I don't know. That all feels like a little bit of a stretch in this particular image. And what I also will say is that a lot of the images of these blue things that have survived the fire, they appear to have the contrast dialed up quite a bit, like oversaturated with blue. And so I don't know. Oh, here's an interesting image. So let's give Madame here her due. This is from Dr. Anastasia Maria Lupus. Lupus? Lupus? Is it lupus? Okay. Watch lasers bounce off the blue color spectrum. How many billionaires in Hawaii had that color roof and no damage to their homes from the fires that destroyed the homes of those native Hawaiians? This is crazy. So I will say that this is compelling. This is much more compelling than the images that we just saw from Donut. No shade to Donut, but he should have posted this video. So you can see before I started, we've got three different colors. Looks like four different colors. Looks like there is green at the bottom. And We've got yellow, red, blue, green. I guess these are the primary colors, although green's not a primary color. I thought it was just blue, red, and yellow. Um, I think that's it. So they're going to show here how this laser uh, affects the various colors and how it does not affect. Boom, boom, and then nothing. So that's very compelling. There is certainly, based off of this video, a scientific basis for blue not being affected by whatever the nature of this laser is that they're using, at least in this video. And we're gonna get to that Alex Jones stuff later on, but that was fun. And I know we had one from the homie Top Lobster. Oh, okay. Here we go. This is a for oh, this is actually from James Woods. And in the video, I believe Top is pointing out, boom, right there. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that back because I got to admit that's suspicious. That's suspicious. From James Woods. Someday after the land is appropriated, Hollywood will make a movie about this. Man, that's true. Rich people in tuxedos will celebrate their compassion and give each other little gold statues, and then everything will be forgotten. And I agree with that sentiment, James Woods. So let's pull this back. And I think we only need the first few seconds of this video to come across what is. That's interesting. Okay, so we could pause it right there. This woman, I know you guys can't hear it. I can hear it. It actually scared me. Is talking about how there was police barricades. So this is a fact. People that were trying to escape the fires and were on the only road off of the island were being turned around by the police. The people that went around the blockades lived, and the people that listened, that were law-abiding citizens, uh, I'm sure many of them died, and the ones that survived were probably amongst the people that were in the water. There was actually people in the water seeking refuge from the fire. So, I mean, look, man, right there, I think that's a great thing to keep in mind as we go towards a new batch of COVID restrictions. It's important to remember that just because it's the fucking law, when it's not, just because it's mandated, just because somebody in a position of authority is telling you to do something, if it screams against your natural instincts, uh, let's just say there's certainly nothing that says listening to the law is going to save your life. It did not save these people's lives. But right here, you can see on the right side of the road, we have a blue car. Let's see if we can go forward a little bit more. Man, that's wild. That is wild. So for a moment, I had a thought: could this person have pulled up after the fact? But you can see that the road is well blocked by the smoldering cars that are left behind. What I will say though is the car in front of the blue car does appear to have fared better than some of the other ones as well, and it's white. So I don't know what that means, but that blue car is uncanny. In a field of desolation, everything is the same color. And I also remember hearing somebody who worked in a department of environmental services that handled controlled burns, and they said that they're so familiar with fires, and so many of the things in Maui were reduced to white ash, and they said that the amount of time it would take for a fire to reach temperatures, that were high enough to reduce something to white ash, all things to white ash, was incredibly unlikely, at least that this fire reached that, especially as quickly as it did. It's my understanding that some of the fire was moving at like 60 miles per hour. That's a fucking nightmare. All right, and so let's get out of here because we cannot hear this one. Um, and boom, boom, boom. That's what we have for that. So I want to go on to the next thing here. Oh, this is funny, actually. Let's just talk about. Oh, you guys can't hear that. Never mind. We're not doing that. I got one that I wanted to dive down live on the show. I've not read any of this, so this would be very fun. When I was a young man, 16 years old, 17 years old, I used to be very into Alex Jones. And Alex Jones is a lot of fun, man. For those of you that know, you get it. For those of you who have never listened, he's just this like ball of energy. He has this uncanny ability to rattle off the most esoteric and fringe conspiracy theories. And he's just super articulate, super fun to watch. But when I was younger, I didn't have much of a taste for politics. And I still kind of don't, only because I believe that politics is a facade. It's a song and dance. It's a puppeteering show on a stage, and you know, politics are the puppets, but what controls the puppets is actually something much darker, which is why my show focuses primarily, The Ravens Watch, on the paranormal and the occult and the conspiratorial. That being said, I fell away from Alex Jones for a while. And then as I got older and developed more context and the ability to understand what he was saying in regards to political conspiracy theories, I started to chime back in a little bit. And admittedly, while I was watching him, I had this sort of, what would you say, uh, skepticism about him and the nature of, where he's getting his information. How come he's allowed to say all these things? How come he's allowed to have this massive show? And I know they deplatformed him, right? But it doesn't matter. Alex Jones is the tip of the spear when it comes to the conspiracy community. How is he allowed to operate in the ways in which he does? How is Alex Jones allowed to climb the fence and go into Bohemian Grove and snap pictures and take videos of them dressed in robes at the foot of a giant Minerva statue in the woods, sacrificing a fake effigy, a mock effigy. That video that he took of him breaking into the Bohemian Grove is a big deal, um, especially for the conspiracy world. And so I never quite sat right with me. I'm like, how is he able to do these things? And then you see him on Joe Rogan's show. Joe Rogan's got the biggest show known to man. And Alex Jones is free to say, all of the things that the elite would never want him to say. And so you have to, if you're a conspiracy theorist by nature, look at Alex Jones through a skeptical lens. And we have someone here, and I've not excuse me, I've not gone down this thread yet. So forgive me if it's a fucking flop. But I'm gonna read it, and we're gonna go through it together here on the timeline riff. Timeline riff. I don't think the is a necessary word to toss in there. So here we are by Cody Cross at Chad 22. Alex Jones is a Satanist, intelligence operative working for the elites. A comprehensive and compelling thread in detail. Quote, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. Ephesians 5:11. I'm not familiar with it, but let's go. Alex Jones. Everyone knows of him, especially now. But do you really know him? Let's start with his familial ties to nefarious things. His father, David Jones, and his uncle, William Biff Forrest. What? That's interesting. Biff is the character from Back to the Future that was supposed to be a Trump archetype. There's a account here on X on Twitter called Biff Don, who the guy he goes through all the connections between Donald Trump and these characters from not only Back to the Future but also Donnie Darko. Okay, so John 8:32, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Dope. David Jones was a CIA dentist slash scientist. I cannot make this stuff up. He even says so himself, and he cites a article or uh some writing here that I'm not going to read the entire thing because I think on the next slide he has the important part. Jones, let me just tell you something. I grew up in Dallas. Okay, this is a quote from Alex. I grew up in Dallas, Texas with my family doing things like helping take in East German defectors, okay? Whenever I got to a family reunion, half the people in the room are former or retired CIA, and do you know what they tell me? They tell me I'm dead on. 100% absolutely right. Yeah, so that is one of the things is that Alex Jones, he has this. uh, connection, this familial tie to the CIA. He talks about it openly. All right, let's go back and read whatever he. So the other thing that he posted was, quote, "Yeah, there's just all kinds of weird experiments going on and just stuff that is off the charts, and it's industrial level." Quote, "I'm not bragging when I say that when in the 80s, because late 80s, my mom and dad had multiple discussions, and my dad would say, 'Let's talk about it privately,' and stuff like that with my mom. So I never heard all of it, and he won't talk about it today, where the CIA tried to hire him because I had some family that did stuff for the CIA to be inducted in Maryland into literal below ground bases for a 4-year secret tour." I'm sorry, guys. This is all over the place, and the tone that I'm reading it in is confusing even me because this is a transcript of him literally just riffing and shooting from the hip. And I think the point here is to say that Alex Jones has hey, what's going on, brother? You're back. I yes, I do think that he is controlled op. Uh, no, it's okay. I can do my best Alex Jones impression though. I can do that right now for you. "They're turning the frogs gay." I think it was pretty decent actually. I mean, when I said it, um, I heard him in my head. We were talking about you earlier because it looked like you were on an acid trip, and I was worried about you, homie. But good to see you back. So going forward, enter his uncle. Is that a request? I'll not be doing that. William Biff Forrest Haman. Jones revealed that his uncle had helped politicians smuggle children from orphanage. What in the shit? And this is actually a clip from episode 1555 of the Joe Rogan Experience, it looks like. Let's see if we can check this out and see if it's going to be super long. Maybe I can just paraphrase it for you. Oh, it's only a minute and 40 seconds. So I'll tell you guys what he says. Okay, so he's saying right now that his brother or his mother's brother, I guess that, that's his uncle. It's a weird way of fucking saying that. Was flying Black Ops helicopters. I'd be interested in going back and listening to this episode 1555. I'm sorry, I can't do it. He's not getting to the point, and I don't wanna drag you guys on for too long, listening to the absolute silence. But I do believe what he's saying here is true. What Cody's saying here is that William Biff Forrest Haman was, a CIA operative as well, who apparently helped, uh or his uncle helped politicians smuggle children from orphanages. That's fucking dark, and the context is very strange there. 2016, a Freedom of Information request was sent requesting specific registration for N numbers to process the flight incident proportion. It was denied. Alex Jones' parents, David Jones and Carol Haman, have been employed by the CIA in the past. Alex Jones' deceased uncle, Bill Haman, was employed by the CIA and the U.S. Army Special Forces. Alex Jones's cousin was also is currently employed as a CIA contractor by Dell. So, I mean, look, man, I think that this goes back to something that I said in a previous episode. I think it was with John of Unbridled Minds. That would have been episode 10. And I actually have a little sidebar, another episode that I am trying to release with a gentleman by the name of Escanor. Some of you who follow me on Twitter may be familiar with Escanor. Um, and we did an episode together. And when I started the recording, I heard some echoing, and I really should have just stopped it and like closed the software out and started it up again. And instead I was like, I don't think anybody's gonna hear that. It's probably only me that's picking it up. And it turns out no. My fucking voice is echoing throughout the entire thing. So we're trying to repair that audio file so that I can get that out to you guys. And in fact, that was one of the motivators for doing the very first episode of Timeline Riff number 1 was because I was watching a couple guys on Tower Gang. It's probably one of my favorite podcasts right now, and I was just inspired. Like I knew that I had just lost an episode because of audio issues, and boop, and And I just I felt like I really needed to do something to patch that up, and so I came out with this. So we're working on that, and hopefully we can clean up that audio file and still get it to you guys. And maybe it'll be kind of shitty. Not everyone's going to be a banger. I'd still like to get it out. The information was good. We shit all over QAnon together, and it was a blast. So I'm hoping that we can get that out to you guys. But anyway, back to what I was saying about episode 10 with John of Unbridled Minds. I was saying that certain characters are you can categorize them as cognitive infiltrators, right? So I think that's probably the more technical definition for, psyop or shill. When people say like, "Oh, this person's a shill" or "This person's a psyop," I think more specifically what they mean is that this person is a cognitive infiltrator. And I wonder if I can find this for you guys right now. Kill the mockingbirds.com. And this is the website of another couple of podcasters that I really enjoy. And I want to see if I can find because allegedly on their page is the actual papers that were written by uh member of uh damn it, they don't have it. So apparently there's a guy who's on the Obama administration who is famous or famously wrote a paper on something called cognitive infiltration. And the idea was that these conspiracy theories or these grassroots movements, they get a community around them and they become very dangerous to the status quo. And so rather than outright dismissing them or telling the public that they're bad, or sure, you could still do that. But one of the other things that you could do is you take charismatic people, likable people, and you position them within the community and you have them naturally rise through the ranks of the community until they find themselves at the helm, steering the ship. And once you've got somebody who is steering the ship, now it's sure they had to tell a lot of truth to get there, but the community was already on the truth and the cat was kind of already out of the bag. But maybe they're not right about everything. Maybe there's minutia that they don't quite understand. And maybe those small pieces of information that they don't grasp are incredibly important to the context of the conspiracy theory. So if you can get somebody to run ahead of the group, position themselves as the leader, and then do damage control on the small lies. So, you know, it's like saying 9/11 was perpetrated by Al Qaeda, right? And so, but then finding out that Bin Laden was a CIA asset, if you can hide that one little part, we're like, yeah, by Bin Laden was part of the whole thing. And so everybody believes, okay, Al Qaeda took down the towers, da 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 da. But that one little detail right there, the he was a CIA asset. If you can hide that part, and there's a much better. It was a shit ass example, but you catch my drift, right? So I think that that's what Alex Jones is doing. I think Alex Jones is saying 95% the truth, and then there's some maybe even smaller than 5%, this chunk that is vital that he is misleading people on. And the only reason that I assume that I don't have any evidence for Alex Jones misleading anybody outside of the fact that his family is CIA, but clearly on more than one instance, he's admitted that himself. Uh, but there has to be an angle, right? I'm perfectly willing to believe that Alex Jones is some sort of CIA plant, cognitive infiltration, finding himself at the very top of the conspiracy pyramid, right? As far as those voices go, who do you got? It's Alex Jones, it's David Icke. Those two names are like synonymous. They're basically hold the same sort of weight or power or sway over the community. Although David Icke's a little more fringe and a little bit more lizard manny. Um, but Alex Jones is he's synonymous with the community. So if you had to gun to my head, I'm saying he's an operative. He's a plant and he's meant to steer the community one way or the other. I could not tell you definitively what it is that he wants to deceive us about. Um, and then you've got this. awesome picture here of him. And that's the thing too, is a lot of these people, like I say that I think that um the whole QAnon thing, and now hopefully you guys can listen to that episode. We can get that audio cleared up for you because we go pretty deep into the whole QAnon being a sort of cognitive infiltration and Trump being heralded as this big savior. And I'm very much of the school of thought that Donald Trump is some form of an operation and is going to end up uh I did an episode with Donnie Darkand. Donnie Darkand thinks he's the Antichrist. Do I think he's the Antichrist? Probably not. There is a lot of really weird, uncanny shit about Donald Trump that aligns with him being the Antichrist, but I'm still not totally sold on it. What I am pretty well sold on is that the whole QAnon thing is Donald Trump's movie, and it's playing in real time, and it's meant for us to, uh, at the end of the movie, look at him as some grand savior. And the reason I say all that is to say this: I enjoy him. And the reason that I say that is because I'm looking at this picture of Alex Jones right now, and I enjoy Alex Jones, dude. He's just this tank of a man. He's got no shirt on. He's a conspiracy theorist, Bert Kreischer, and he's fun, dude. Like I haven't listened to Joe Rogan in a while. Better believe the next time he has Alex Jones on, I'm listening. I'll have a couple of drinks and I'll listen to that show because I enjoy the dude. Uh, you can enjoy somebody and not trust them worth a damn. And I think people have a really hard time today separating those two things. It's like just because you enjoy somebody doesn't mean that you should trust them. I don't know why people have such a hard time with that. Jordan says Alex Jones is without a doubt a wolf in sheep's clothing. He is a caricature of truthers, leading them astray when it matters. I agree with that sentiment. Or I'm sorry, a caricature of truthers. That is, yeah, yeah, he is. He is. He's like our mascot. He even kind of just look. He's just kind of like a mascot character. You know what I mean? He's kind of, I don't know, enjoyable and lovable. I mean, man, when I was a kid and he hopped that fence into Bohemian Grove and he blew that whole thing wide open when I was 17 years old or 16 years old, I bought that shit hook, line, and sinker. Now I'm like, bitch, you know who the fuck hopped the fence and why aren't you terminating this motherfucker? You know what I mean? Like it's been years, the cat's out of the bag. Everybody knows it was Alex, and yet he's still just walking around freely. Not only that, he makes a shit ton of money doing what he does. And I just don't think that with as much control as the government has, or the cabal, or the deep state has, I don't think you are I don't think you get to build an empire, uh, one that is very successful financially. I don't think you get to build that if you're really the opposition. I think the real opposition is like, they're like the Ninja Turtles. They're in the sewers. We don't know their faces. We don't get to see them. All right. They don't get hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter and X. So when you see like Dom Lucre or whatever the hell his name is on X, on Twitter, and he's very much another like character who's been, you know, uh oddly positioned as the one of the leaders of the community. Um that's super suspicious, dude. I don't think Dom Lucre, if he was a real dude, I don't think he gets to be where he's at. Um And so and the same thing for me. You'll see it because I'm nobody special. When I get too close to things, they're just gonna shut my channel down, or I'm gonna have to go to fucking Rockfin or something like that. And yeah, dude, this is the real question right here. Is he Bill Hicks? I don't know, man. I love that idea that he's Bill Hicks. And I know when he talks like this is it's a voice that he's putting on, So like I don't even know what the fuck he really sounds like. You could train a voice. When I was a kid, I used to talk like Cartman because I thought it was funny. And then for like all of freshman year, actually it might have been 8th grade. All of 8th grade, I talked like Cartman. I talked like Cartman with a Texas accent. And god damn it, my point is just that people are malleable, and just because he doesn't sound the same, he could easily sort of adopt a persona. And I think that's what's going on. I don't really know too much about the whole Bill Hicks thing. Hey, what's going on, Paul? How are you, brother? I don't really know too much about the whole Bill Hicks thing and how it relates to Alex Jones, because I think there's documented evidence of Alex, being a dude before Bill Hicks died. So that becomes a little bit difficult, but there's got to be something more to it because people still bring that up, and if it was so easily dismissed, I don't think that it would still be a thing brought up in conversation. So that is definitely something I'd have to look into. But as far as I'm concerned, man, Alex Jones, as much as I love him, as funny as he is, I think he's 100% controlled opposition, and it's a shame because look at him. Who doesn't want that guy to be on their side? I don't know what he's eating. Is it the resolution's blurry? I'm sure he's eating steak and eggs and he's drinking booze and he's American, dude. He is like you said, a caricature though of a conspiracy theorist. He's a caricature of a dude from Texas. But I enjoy him. I enjoy him a lot. Oh, you know what's funny? I have this DVD. You know what's really funny? Alex Jones, Endgame. I only have like 3 DVDs in the house. I'm pretty sure this is in a drawer. Drawer. Is that right? I think I'm gonna do a review of this. This would be cool because I've only ever seen bits and pieces of this movie when I was a kid. Man, that would be cool. Almost like a watch party. And then it would be interesting to see it through fresh eyes while I have hindsight of, all the shit that's gone on. But yeah, Alex Jones came out with this movie back in the day, Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement. I remember it being pretty big deal. And this is before there was a shit ton of conspiracy theorists, influencers on the internet, and this was like dominating it. Endgame was dominating. Endgame came out around the same time. I don't know if you guys remember Zeitgeist. That was another kind of big pivotal moment for the conspiracy theory community. I know it even got picked up by Netflix for a time, and I remember trying to show my wife Zeitgeist when we weren't married yet, and I was trying to put the moves on her, but I was also trying to like put her on the game and be like, look what they're doing to us, dude. And so I tried to show her Zeitgeist, and she just wanted to like, kiss and stuff. And I was like, I'm trying to show you like important information. I'm glad she didn't watch the shit because there's so much that I disagree with in Zeitgeist now. They try to reduce Jesus to this strictly an allegory about the stars, the celestial crux and the sun residing in the realm of the celestial crux for 3 days, and that's supposed to represent, the 3 days that Jesus died, and then all of a sudden it starts to rise out of the celestial crux, and that's representative of there was a lot of shit on there that I disagree with, and they also tried to say that, Jesus was just another story for, Joseph or, Horus, Osiris, and Isis. In fact, I believe we talked about that in my last episode, the one that I'm trying to clean the audio up for you guys. So hopefully we can get that done. But Zeitgeist was like a big deal. Endgame was a big deal. And I think that these things, and they all came out around the same time as I Pet Goat 2. Anybody remember that? I Pet Goat 2. That was a really weird little kind of conspiracy theory video that I still revisit from time to time. And I kind of, skim through it to see what sort of things I can understand now that maybe I didn't understand in the past. Uh, oh, boom. Here we go. Understanding conspiracy. Brother Paul says, perfect tool for controlled op. William Cooper hated him and lambasted him on his radio show, if I remember correctly. And then he was killed and replaced by Alex Jones as the new truth leader, basically. That is something that I can much more kind of enthusiastically get behind is this idea that Bill Cooper being a real genuine guy who's out, spilling the truth, and then cognitive infiltration kicks in. How do we steer this community? We get another dude who, has a lot of similarities to Bill, and you put him in the place, and now he's your puppet because Bill didn't operate very well on strings. And for those of you who don't know, Understanding Conspiracy is a fantastic YouTube channel, and I highly recommend you go and check it out. I did an episode with Paul on the Nephilim, uh, and their connection to the iconic clown archetype that we're all familiar with, and how that archetype is a representation of the biblical Nephilim, excuse me. And Paul, just a wealth of knowledge, awesome guy, super articulate, lays it all out in a very compelling way. And I highly recommend you go and check out Understanding Conspiracy because you might just learn something over there. So let's see what else we got. Um, I know I was gonna read this. I didn't fucking look at it. And I'm like, this is a whole thing. Uh, and here, this is a weird thing. This whole political. This is a little bit of a branch. We're going off on a tangent here. The political realm is so weird to me. These characters are very strange to me. As somebody who I have my political views, I expressed earlier that I think politics is really just a facade. A facade. It's a mask, that something is wearing, something quite nefarious. And if you get too lost in the play that's going on the stage, you're gonna miss the point. The point is something else is pulling the strings, and the world is much more supernatural and paranormal than you might imagine. But that being said, of course, politics is important. It's important to be involved in the direction that the world is going in. It's important to be aware of what's going on. And I think it's unfortunate because there are powers that are taking advantage of that fact, the fact that it is important to pay attention. And so they're manipulating what you're paying attention to, and it kind of sucks. But there's these characters, man. I don't know if that one's supposed to represent one of the Tates. But there's Jones, there's Tucker Carlson, there's Ben Shapiro, there's Blair White, and I find them all so strange. I find them all completely disingenuous. Look, I agree with a lot of what Tucker says. And I've heard Blair White talk. Blair White is a dude that's now a chick, but not really a chick. It's still a dude, but they've had a lot of surgeries. So like if you blink really fast, they're like kind of pretty and it's confusing to people. Um, and then there's Ben Shapiro, who is the anti-foreskin supremacist. And look, they're all I think they this is what I think. I maybe Oh, I'm sorry. I've been neglecting the chat. Maya, boom. Alex was also the one who kicked off the doomer whispers that the restrictions would be making a comeback. It's sketchy. Yeah, that's a great point because in the last episode of Timeline Riff, I actually talked about how, damn, I mean, that's a solid point, Maya, because in my mind, that just validates so much more to me that, like, yeah, this dude is cognitive infiltration. He is a psyop. He is put in the conspiracy theorist community to steer the ship. And he's the one who just had inside information. Oh, the CIA or I'm sorry, the TSA in October, they're gonna roll out all the COVID mandates again. They're all coming back. And dude, it was like I can't do that for long. That fucks me up. It was like the next day. It was the next day. That all of a sudden it was like it was confirmed. It's on like Donkey Kong. Fucking COVID's back. And this October we're gonna be getting butt fucked by the TSA and wearing masks and all this shit. And I I think everybody that is riding that information train, everybody says like, yeah, it was Jones. He just said it, about a week ago or something like that. And I was seeing that sentiment echoed repeatedly that he was he was the person that first blew the alarm and then immediately it followed. So yeah, I do think that it's very sketchy, to use Maya's words. And then MK Ryan, back from his acid trip, wants to know my thoughts on Tucker. And I think that like Tucker is I enjoy him. I love the way he talks. Uh I enjoy his show. I just like the dude. I like his takes, but whenever I see somebody whose whose character arc is like a really good movie, I get sketched out. I get skeptical. That's just me. I see Tucker, I see the way he's gaining all this ground on Fox News. His show is the number one watch like news program that the legacy media has left. It's this last glowing orb that they're clutching onto, and people are still tuning in to watch it, even though legacy media is dying on the vine. And then all of a sudden, out of left field, they pivot and do what looks like the most laughable move you could ever make, which is dumping Tucker. And sure, there are people that can explain that away, but still, the general sentiment when Tucker got released from Fox News or got fired or whatever the hell happened there was like, how dumb is that shit? What a way to drop. It was an unbelievable fumble. And then he goes on X with Elon. Elon, who is the caretaker of the newest version of Twitter. But not only is it the newest version, it's the last beacon for free speech. And he just did it, right? And then all of a sudden, one of the biggest names in legacy media announces that he's going to be doing his show on the last beacon of free speech. And like, I don't know, dude, it kind of like writes itself. You know what I mean? It's like a movie. And then all of a sudden his show takes off and he's crushing. His numbers are astronomical right out of the gate, which like, you know, I'm not saying that's artificial, but I'm just saying that there is that voice in my head that keeps going like, "This shit writes itself, dog. This movie writes itself." And whenever that starts to happen, I gotta pull back because I'm like, this feels to me like it's a movie. And I always go back to the QAnon thing where I'm like, the QAnon thing is very much a movie. Uh, and what I mean by that is like it's so well all of the moments that are happening in like the QAnon world, the political world, the conspiracy theory realm, all of these things are cinema-esque. And I just don't think that things like that happen in the real world until somebody sees an opportunity to take something that's gaining momentum and then Hollywood it, and that's when all of a sudden things start getting orchestrated and strings start getting pulled. And so yeah, that long-winded bullshit was just to say that I think Tucker he's cognitive infiltration too. Albert Pike, the 33rd degree Freemason, he said something to the effect of when the world needs a hero or when the people need a hero, we shall supply it. And then MK Ryan says his dad being the director of the United States Information Agency back in the day is also sketchy. I'm not the acid guy, by the way. Oh, I'm sorry, Ryan. You're not the acid guy. Okay, you can see why. All right, this is why, Ryan. I want you to see this. MK Ryan, Mikey D. You see, there's a little thing, and this is Mikey from earlier. I don't know where he is. God bless him. He's in the DMT realm fighting off Nephilim jesters. Uh, oh, dude, I'm sorry. I thought that was but that's interesting. I didn't know that his father was the director of the United States Information Agency. I didn't know that was a thing. You mean the CIA, the Central Intelligence? No, no, I guess that is a thing. United States Information Agency back in the day. Yeah, that's fucking sketchy. That sounds a lot like CIA to me, information agency. Um, so yeah, and then you've got your Blair White's very strange. Blair White's very strange to me. I don't think that I think he's I don't know, dude. I feel like such a bitch. Like if I call Blair a that Alex Jones voice really screwed me up. If I call Blair a dude, there's a part of me that's like Blair's pretty solid though. Like as far as his takes, her takes, political takes and cultural takes, they're pretty solid. But like as far as the trans thing goes, I'm so off that fucking boat and I'm so over the whole compelled pronouns thing. I think if Blair White was a CIA plant, it was literally just to fucking muddy the waters and confuse people. They're like, I don't know what to do. They're so cool. Like they think like I think. They just got a mussy or whatever Blair's got. I don't know what Blair's got. I don't know if he's got a dong or um but yeah, there are these characters and they all feel so artificial and very strange to me. And I just think that we're at the point of the game now where the world stage is just filled with actors. And I don't know what it takes to become an actor. I don't know if I'm going to get, big enough one day that somebody's gonna come and be like, "Look, dude, you go put on some blush, get a mussy, and get an AR-15, and maybe we can use you too for political leverage. And maybe the money's lucrative. Maybe there's something in it for me." Uh, I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on that. I think that Ben Shapiro is also. Um, I think he's a genuine dude. I don't think that the Tate brothers are genuine. I think that they're a total fucking psyop. I don't know necessarily what the end game for them is, but they've kind of found themselves as leaders in the community of men who want to be masculine, traditional masculine men, and I think they're kind of fucking douchebags. Every once in a while, they have a take that I enjoy, which is wild because it's like Hitler could sit next to you and be like, "I think people should, you know, uh, work hard, and I think that they should save their money, and I think that they shouldn't settle for less in life." And I'd go to Hitler, I'd be like, "Fucking fuck yeah, dude, absolutely." So the fact that the Tate brothers say some shit every once in a while that I agree with, I don't think is really important. I think their message of have many bitches and drive a fucking Bugatti, I think that's a little bit of a bankrupt message. From where I stand, hey, Tanya. Tanya's basically my co-host. She helped me through the entire first episode. What up? You too. Have a great day. Um, but yeah, I think that that idea is bankrupt. This idea of going out and having several concubines and driving fast cars and smoking cigars. And I mean, I like a cigar and I like a whiskey on the rocks, but like I just feel like we should be going back and pushing monogamy. That'd be nice. It's a nice message to see. I think the trad cat kind of gang, the traditional Catholic, you know, thing that's rising up again. Man, you can see an awful lot of my thighs, huh? Fucking want to bury them bad boys down there beneath the shot. Um, but yeah, I do think that whole trad cat thing might be going a little too far. Um, I just think it would be nice to see, like, some messaging. It's not inflammatory, so it's not gonna catch on, but it's like, "Hey, work hard and take care of yourself and eat healthy and find you know, a mate and be loyal. And then, like, have some kids and raise them into good people. Do your best." But I guess that's not sexy messaging. I don't know. And I think that's it, man. That's all I got for you guys. I didn't wanna go too long today. I think we're, yeah, just over an hour. And it's nice to know that I can, in fact, ramble like a psychopath. That's 2 days in a row now. I might do these I might do this, like, 4 times, a week or something like that to subsidize the Ravens watch. I'm really trying to, this is like a peek behind the fourth wall, but I'm really trying to work out this muscle and get really good at this what seems to you guys maybe like rambling. Um, but really it's so that I am a more effective communicator and so that I would uh let's see, boom, understanding conspiracy. Somebody suggested this is Paul. Geez, man. Somebody suggested that Paul of Understanding Conspiracy get on Spaces again. I didn't know you already did it. Didn't you say you wanted to set something up? Yeah. So right now, Paul, I'm working on something called Nephilim Death Squad. Doesn't really have to do with the Nephilim. It's just a super dope name. I'm very excited. I'm very much like a child, So Nephilim Death Squad sounds like what you would call like some action heroes. Always wanted to be an action hero. And so basically what I've done is I've got a group chat and I'll toss you in. You have to find me on Twitter. I couldn't find your Twitter handle. And I'll toss you into the group and basically it's just a bunch of people that are, have their own little conspiracy things that they specialize in and I wanted to get them together for live spaces so that we could talk on Twitter. And I think it would be cool, be fun, and kind of create a community out of it. And we could tackle whatever interesting conspiracy happens to be going about that day. And I know a lot of the guys that are in the group already loved the episode that you and I did, where you dropped all that awesome knowledge in regards to the Nephilim and the connection. So that would be really cool. Paul, I got to find you. I know I'm in your Telegram. I'll find your handle and I'll toss you in the group today. And if you do a space, I'd love to hop on. Although I got to go get my wife soon. But yeah, so this is just me working out. I'm trying to get better at this, and I'd like to, uh, if somebody wanted to have me as a guest, I'd like to have a body of work that suggests that I could carry a conversation rather than just because every once in a while I'll get somebody like Paul or I had another guy Donnie Darkened, where like these guys are just never ending pits of information. It just keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper. And so you really can just toss Paul a layup and then just sit back and learn something. And so if I want to be a viable guest for people, I would like to create a body of evidence that shows like, look, the dude can talk. And so, yeah, thank you guys for coming to Timeline Riff number 2. Thank you for hanging out with me while I work out a little bit. Thank you guys, all of you who participated in the chat. It's a lot more fun when the other one I did the other day. It was just Tanya A hanging out with me. Oh, that would be cool, Paul, if you can promote it. That's another aspect of this. It's like I can talk and I can ask good questions, and I'm a good conversationalist. I am trash at promotion. I got to figure that aspect out. But thank you guys so much for coming and watching me do this. I hope it was entertaining, and I hope you guys keep coming back. I'd like to turn this into something fun too, where it's like even though it's kind of a workout session for me, hanging out and talking to you guys in the chat is pretty cool. I just moved to Florida recently, and I don't have friends anymore. So now, sorry, you guys are my friends. Until next time, which might fucking be tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe it's tomorrow. But until the next episode of the Timeline Riff. Oh, also, just so you guys know, I have a couple of cool guests coming up. Reptile Hybrid, who you can find on Twitter. We're gonna hop on Thursday, and we're doing an episode all about the reptilians. That's kind of his thing. I thought it would be cool to go down that path. I have another guest that I'm working on. I don't like to announce it if I feel like they're on the fence, but I have another guest that if he says yes, this is going to be super cool as well. So we got more content from the Ravens Watch coming this week and definitely more timeline riffs. And this is going to get better and better. And I'll figure out the audio issue next time. We'll figure out why you guys can't hear. All right. Until next time, thank you guys so much for listening to the Timeline Riff number 2. Bye bye.